gradient map from the bottom to the top of the tree, and that's going to give us this swaying motion. That's going to be really cool. So, the way I'm going to set this up is I'm actually going to do a bunch of stuff. I'm going to just plug in 0 into the additional WPO. I'm going to remove that. The wind direction is going to stay the same for everything. I want separate control over the movement. So for wind size small, I'm going to rename it to leaf wind small size, and then leaf wind large size. And then I want control over the wind speed as well. So this is going to be leaf wind speed and leaf wind intensity, and then the vertex color is going to be red. And then we're going to rename this to leaf wind weighting. So this is what we had before. This is our base, called this leaf wind. I'm actually going to keep all this SSS control stuff for the tree leaf. But I'm going to duplicate this entire thing, move this down here, call this trunk wind. Now for the trunk wind, in the end, I don't need any weighting, but I do need to multiply it by 0 for the z-axis, so multiply it by a vector of 110, and that's going to flatten everything out. And then I'm also it's gonna get added in to the world position offset. And you may be asking, hey Alex, why are you doing this for leaves if you're going to have a trunk shader? Well, because everything that the trunk does, the leaves have to do too, but the leaves then get their movement added on top. So the setting for each leaf and trunk has to be identical. And that's just the downside of the way we're going to be doing this. And as a result, I'm actually going to try and nail these values the first time. So I want the trunk wind intensity. I know I want it to be not that strong. This is going to be the trunk wind speed. Trunk wind speed. I want that to be at 0.2 because stuff usually isn't very fast. I have leaf wind size small. I'm going to make this 1,000. This is going to be now trunk. And then the big one's going to be 4,000. And this because we don't want to see the same repetitive movement. When we've got lots of trees close together, which we're going to have. And I think that's pretty much it, because now I can go in, and I'm actually going to take this material, which is the tree leaf, and actually, I've got textures. Oh, you know what? I forgot. So for the leaf texture, I actually have a subsurface mask, because I don't want the branches and stuff to be visible. So I'm going to handle this slightly differently. I'm going to get rid of this vert color. I'm going to get rid of that actually completely. Oh, wait, no, I'm not, because that's the diffuse influence. I'm going to grab this texture. Uh-oh. I accidentally did that in my grass. Okay. I done goofed. Okay. I got that backwards. And maybe you guys that were watching at home saw that and didn't tell me. But I won't hold a grudge. So I'm actually going to copy all of this over to here. All of this over to here. Connect everything back up. God dang it. Just kidding. Roughness. Specular. Default specular actually should have something. This is subsurface color. This is base color. This is normal. This is world position offset. Okay. And this is opacity mask. And I probably forgot something and I'll have to fix it later, and that's totally okay. So, delete that. This over here. Rename this so I don't forget. So connect this to a world position offset. That's world displacement. You can alt click to disable stuff. So world position offset, subsurface color, roughness, specular. Again, I'm gonna crank it to something. Base color, opacity mask. Normal. I'm gonna go in and really quickly just plug in some better textures for default materials. So plug in the normal. I'm gonna plug in this leaf card that I made. Look at it go. And then I actually now have a texture for the mask for the subsurface color. Which is great, because we don't want like the leaves and stuff like that, because it's all in the same texture. The main way I've been making trees recently has been using branch cards and then growing leaves on the branch cards, and then copying them around, which has been working out fantastic. Close that before I accidentally do something stupid again. And I go back to materials, and I'm actually going to duplicate this and say matte trunk. OCD, so I'm going to fix that, and then open this up, and the first thing I'm going to do is go back and no longer two-sided. This is just default lit, not masked, it's opaque. The diffuse texture, gradient diffuse, smooth. We'll keep all the diffuse control in there, because why not? Keep the normal in there. I don't have textures for my bark for roughness and stuff like that, so I'm just going to kill that stuff, and then I can kill the leaf wind, actually, because, you know, trunks aren't leaves. Oh yeah, so this is kind of cool. You can actually see, what that pattern is doing. I'm connecting the, connecting that accidentally to the base color. So you can see that, but that's not what I meant to do. This is what I meant to do. Now we have a trunk material. I'm actually going and grab a trunk texture, just so it looks correct and we don't have to mess with stuff too much when it comes to plugging everything in. Okay, so got a trunk texture. Look at that, it's glorious. Got bunch of trees, so I'm going to actually go in and create a material instance really quickly of the trunk. Create mat, or mi, trunk 01. Move that into the instance. Create material instance, mi leaf 01 instance. And I'm actually going to open up all these models. The leaf model. So I'm going to plug that in there. As you can see, like I said, I do a lot of work with the actual branch cards themselves. There we go. Look at that. That's a tree. I'm excited. Got everything in. You can see all the trees doing their little wiggle work. More technical terms. Okay, and then I've got the trunk. So I'm going to put the trunk in here, and there, and there, and in here. do something I keep forgetting to do, which is save. So now I can actually go in and I can plug this in. And, you can see that the whole tree is actually moving left to right, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be tweaked. You can see also the MIP mapping is out to get me. Actually gonna keep anti-aliasing on low. And I've got the big tree, which you can already even see is lighting pretty well. Pretty exciting. It's not like a super full tree. But it's a nice one. Quite happy with it. And I think these are actually all just too big. And so I'm going to tweak to assume that I'll be scaling them down later. I'm scaling them down to like 70% of their original size. So that's cool. And it's funny because, this tree is going to be fun because if I want, I can just stick it in like, oh my god, look, a bush. But for now, I'm going to tweak everything together, and then I'm going to change it, and you'll see why. So I'm going to open up the instances, and I have to change the leaf and trunk instances together when it comes to tweaking the trunk stuff, because like I said, they've got to stay matched up. So I'm going to go into the leaves. I'm just kind of looking at them move right now. I'm actually having a hard time seeing, so I'm going to make a little bit more screen space and grabbing a skylight just to add some more color. Skylights are going to capture the environment around. So they're doing their thing. I kind of like the what they're doing. I think they could use a little bit more vertical movement. I think the intensity is maybe a little strong. I'm starting to see too much of those, like, the circle patterns, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Let's see, trunk wind intensity. I'm not messing with that stuff yet. Leaf wind speed. I think the intensity actually could go back up to, oh god, nope, never mind. Decrease these values a little. Because I want them moving a little bit, but I don't want them moving a ton. I think the leaf wind speed could go down, and then I want the wave to not be nearly as big. That way we see more, because like it's weird, right? Because you're relying on two different types of waves to go through the environment, but you want them to be close together to create variation, but you want small and large movement, and that's where it becomes a little tricky. Okay, so now I'm actually going to look at the trunk numbers. So I think the trunk intensity was just way too small. I'm going to start by just increasing that. You can see the size of the waves right now is just way, way, way too tiny. So I'm actually going to make which one's big and which one's small actually doesn't matter. Actually going to increase this to like pretty big sizes. You can actually see the trunk move a little bit. And you can see it's not moving at the bottom. It moves more as it goes up. Unfortunately, it's not moving. It's not quite moving perfectly. It's kind of rippling a little, but it's certainly doing some interesting stuff, and it's at least a good start. And now when I've copied these settings over to the other trees, or to the branches, they'll move perfectly in line with it. but I just want to see what we can get it to do. Woo! It's a little bit spaghetti-like, I think. So we're gonna go with 5 for now. I'm not making like a crazy windy day. I just kind of like the idea. Actually, we're gonna go with 4. I kind of like the idea of the motion being interesting. So 2004, 7000.5. Go back in here. And something is weird because there's only one trunk size. So I'm going to actually open this up, and I can already tell you what happened is I forgot to rename something. So this is, leaf wind. Should be actually trunk wind, large size. Do that, change, go back down here. Now we have 2, trunk wind. So trunk intensity is 4. The small is 7000. The large is 20,000. Oh, just kidding. Oh, great. So I apparently misnamed it in this one too. Go back in here. Do this. This is trunk wind size large. Like that. Go back to the material instance. Look at what everything is. So small was 7,000, large was 2,000. So it wasn't wrong. Now you can see all the leaves move with it. Now, you can instantly see a couple problems. One is that the intensity is just too strong. The other is that the leaves got boring, so I'm going to try and fix that. Yeah, it looks a little weird from up close, but it's nice to see the movement from a medium distance. So we'll keep it there for now, can always tweak it later. And then the problem is that it looks really weird on these smaller ones. Yeah, it looks very comical. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just duplicate all of this. Actually, no, I'm gonna create material instances. Mi leaf 02, and then mi leaf or mi trunk 02, and in these. All I'm going to do is really tweak the settings so that it's a little bit more natural for this. So, my guess is what that's going to come down to is just the trunk intensity is just too strong. And I forgot that I didn't actually apply this to the mesh, so I gotta hit these. So we'll go trunk 02, put in there, and then leaf 02, plugged in there, and plugged in there. And I'm also going to drop the intensity of these leaves, but I'm keeping everything else the same, because they are instances, right? So I'm still not feeling that trunk intensity. I think I killed the leaves too much. Maybe the speed needs to be higher. Yeah, so I'm actually going to go back to the first set and keep messing with it a little bit. Not happy that it keeps doing that. I'm used to working in lots of monitors, so I'm trying to keep everything as compact as I can. So I'm actually going to try 4,000. And then 11,000. just to make some of those waves, the movement bigger. I think the speed is still too high. Pardon me. Knock deck down. Okay, so we're gonna call it good on leaves for now. I'm still using leaf 01 to tweak all my properties. I like, kind of the direction for the subsurface color. I think it's a good start. I do think the there's some kind of want a little bit of speck on it. So I think the roughness may be too high. So I'm going to actually up the spec to 0.5, and then see if I can drop that roughness down to something a little bit more tree-y. I think I may have gone too high with the spec. So, yeah, it's pretty nice. We're getting little glints off the leaves and stuff like that, which is kind of what you want. Maybe the roughness a little too low and the specular is a little too high, because we're getting that ambient fill from the skylight. But yeah, so we're well on our way. We got some trees that move, that we'll probably keep tweaking. We've got ground. We've got grass. We're pretty good on the models. I'm actually going to go and make a cliff model really quickly. Or not a cliff model, a cliff material. That is just a little bit better than the blend. It'll be nice to have the rock as a blend, but I want to have a new material for the rock. So let's call this matte _ blend, or cliff, and open that up. And this will be a pretty quick one. The only thing I'm going to do that's a little fancy involves some rocks. So I've got this, my base color, and I'm actually going to be doing a bit of blending. So I need 2 sets of my normal. So I'm going to be masking out the red and the green of each one, and you'll see I've got the separate UV channels in a sec. Actually, we'll do it this way. And like, I could just set it up as a one for, but I'm, one off, but I'm gonna try and keep it customized just a little bit. So this is the scale, keeping that at 1, but then I'm gonna, and this is gonna be the overlay. So I'm gonna multiply it by 1/4 of the scale and use that for high frequency tiling detail. And then I'm gonna use the base scale for the regular one. And then for the diffuse overlay, I'm actually going to lerp between this and gray, because overlay lightens towards 50% and then darkens away from 50%. So I want I want control as to how much gets overlaid into the base texture. So I'll connect this to the base color. You can see now that it's blending in really strong, but we've got some high frequency detail that is happening on its own. I'm actually going to go in and fade it out a little bit, just to kind of start things off. I'm actually going to grab this and clamp it, or I'm not going to clamp it, I'm going to mask it, and just grab the red channel, and probably use this as a roughness map. I can already tell it needs to be a little bit brighter than it is. tweak to something normal. And then for the normal map, the way I'm going to apply the detail normal map is by masking out the red and the green and adding that in. But first I'm actually going to multiply. So this is normal strength. Keep that at 1. And then this is detail normal strength. And I'm going to keep this at 0.2. Plug that in there. Just kidding, plug that like this. And then when all is said and done for the normal maps, I'm going to append the red and green channels back to the base blue channel of the normal map. Plug that in. Pretty quickly, we got cool, roughness, or pretty cool material that has some pretty high frequency detail. I'm actually going to parameterize this detail scale. I'm actually going to drop this down to 0.15, just so we have even higher frequency detail. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same kind of lerp trick here, but with splitting this between like a flat value, and just call this the roughness texture strength. The easiest way to see this detail is probably just if I connected the base normal map. So you've got that kind of detail, and then you've got a little bit, you've got a higher amount. I actually realized that I did this wrong. The higher frequency rate by increasing it. There we go. Now you can see the higher detail. And I'm going to increase that detail strength a little bit. So now we got a really cool looking, interesting rock texture, or rock material. And I am going to use a quick material instance of this. And plug that into here. Open up all my rock textures, just because I don't want to keep applying stuff to them. So, some of them, it may appear really, really, really small, and I may have to make a separate material instance. But yeah, rock didn't unwrap very well. Something is up with that, but let's see what the others look like. So I can already tell I don't like the LOD distance. Really don't like the LOD distance. There we go. Probably going to be using these rocks more than anything, the medium and the small rocks, because we're not trying to make something super cliffy or something like that. But I can also tell that the tile rate is just a little low. I grab, one of these models, like I'll grab the large rock and mess with the material instance a little bit, just to see what we can do to get it looking a little better. So the material scale, increase that frequency a bit, and I'm also going to go in and hit that seam. I'm going to go in and just increase the normal strength a bit. See if we can get something a little bit more interesting. Oh, I completely forgot. Got to set up for tessellation. So, pretty much same drill. In fact, I'm just going to copy to save time what that base setup looks like. Got that. was the value from before, and then world displacement is just going to be boop, boop, it's thinking and saving. I did that wrong. Oh. Okay, go in, okay. The great thing is that you can just copy stuff like that. Oh, I forgot there's that second part of this, which is right here. Grab that. This down here. This is not a very organized material, I apologize. There we go. Now we're talking. Now I can actually go into the cliff instance. You can see the overlays. Isn't there working? Yeah. Increase the detail normal strength, actually. We're seeing stuff. Then I'm going to see what I can do about getting this displacement multiplier to work a little better. Yeah, we're getting a much more craggly natural terrain, and something that I've actually found is that when it starts to get a little bit more displacement-y, texture seams matter a little bit less. I mean, there's still some ugly spots, but because it's just going to be covered in nature, I'm not super concerned with it. We got such an interesting looking rock out of that. Minus that seam. Oh man, that's gonna bug me. But keep going. Yeah, so like small ones are nice and small, and the medium ones are gonna be okay for making some simple shapes. We may have to make separate materials for the medium ones, just because the UVs are a little wacky. Probably not gonna use that one. Yeah, so you can see already starting to get some interesting stuff. So now comes the fun stuff: is actually making all this happen, and really just deciding on what route and what I want to make. You know, for the most part, I think keep a lot of this over here. For the most part, I think I kind of want to go for like a little bit of like a maybe even like a riverbed look. I think that could be a little fun. Take a little sip of water. I got my reference over here, and I'm kind of looking through it. Got a lot more like plains style grass than like dense forest grass. So something like this maybe could work a little better than maybe something that's more like this. And I'm just looking at different times of day and different weather. I'm a big fan of just interesting and cool lighting. It doesn't always have to be dramatic, but it certainly can be pretty if it is. Look at that. That's just so neat. Some fun stuff. Anyway, get to that. I've got 3 different terrain chunks, and I'm actually going to edit all of them and apply that base material instance. Instance material.